Just ahead on American Black Journal, the Detroit Jazz Festival celebrates its 35th anniversary. We'll talk about this year's headliners and how the festival is putting a spotlight on arts and culture in Detroit. Plus, we'll get treated to an in-studio performance by a group of local jazz artists. You don't want to miss this, so stay put.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. The largest free jazz festival in the world turns 35 this year. The Detroit Jazz Festival consistently attracts tens of thousands of music fans from all over the globe during the Labor Day weekend. Each year, the festival has a diverse lineup of performers, ranging from newcomers to jazz legends. My guests today are instrumental in the production of the Detroit Jazz Festival. Please welcome Cornell Batie, who is the Executive Vice President and COO of the Jazz Festival, Sharon Banks, who's the Chair of the Board of Trustees, and Chris Collins, who's the Artistic Director. Thanks for being here. I have to say, this is probably my favorite show of the year because I get to have you guys on and we get to have live music in the studio. And of course, the Jazz Festival is such a sort of signature Detroit event. This year, the lineup looks as great as ever.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We thank you for having us on your show. And Chris, as always, has put together a great programming for us this year.
Yeah, so let's talk about who is coming this year. I know one person who's coming because she was here about a month and a half ago on American Black Journal. Regina Carter was here and talking about how she's going to play this year's festival. But who else do we have?
You know, Regina is such an important ambassador to Detroit, and it's one of the things that we've embraced at the festival the last 3 years. We call it our homecoming series. We're always looking for those great artists that hail from Detroit, that have had an impact on our community, and we bring them home for the festival. So this year, in addition to Regina, we have Barry Harris with his trio with Ray Drummond and Leroy on drums, and Tim Reese and the East Gypsy Band. Tim's a wonderful saxophonist from the area. And then we have a homecoming band that wraps up on Monday. Jimmy Wilkins, 92 years old, playing the music of his brother Ernie Wilkins, who most people in Detroit know those names. They were responsible for, you know, Basie records and music that Nancy Wilson sang. I mean, it's just an amazing family. And so the homecoming band will play with all the homecoming artists and Jimmy Wilkins on Monday to wrap that up. It's just one of the many series we put together to help our audience come and enjoy the festival and get to what they want to get to despite the incredible depth. Because as you know, it's 4 stages of music going all day.
Going all day for what, 3 or 4 days?
3.5 days.
Yeah.
And it really helps us to, you know, it helps our audience to kind of see where things are at. So if you want to check out the legends, the cats like this year, Pharoah Saunders and Phil Woods and Stanley Clark and Barry Harris, you can kind of follow that track. If you're into the more modern stuff and you want to get into, you know, the Mike Stern Band, if you want to check out Regina Carter's Southern Comfort gig, then you can kind of follow that track through the festival. And so along the way, you have a chance to see those great upcoming artists you may not know, along with the legendary figures that we're blessed to still have with us, Ramsey Lewis with John Pizzarelli, and some of the youth in our community that have been selected throughout the year for a special performance slot at the festival.
Yeah, and of course it is in downtown Detroit, and the downtown always feels different, I want to say, on that weekend.
Yeah, it's about putting Detroit on the stage. I mean, you know, the thing is, you know, this is the world's largest free jazz festival. Gretchen Belaid has fought to keep it that way. That is top of mind. She wants everyone to have an opportunity to experience it.
Right.
She doesn't want it just to be those who can afford to actually pay the ticket price.
Right.
What they experience that weekend, I mean, generally to go to another festival, you would spend hundreds of dollars to be able to get that experience.
To see that many acts, absolutely.
And the artists, I mean, we're talking, the best artists in the world.
Yeah.
And when individuals come and they see that, they get an opportunity to see why artists choose Detroit.
Right, right. What's the current state of this festival? I can remember a time when we were a little nervous about how it would continue. You just talked about charging for admission. I remember that was something that was discussed for a while. Where are we with the security of this festival?
Well, the thing is we've been able to really get partners to join up with us.
Yeah.
Like Opportunity Detroit, and Detroit DTE has been huge in stepping up and been a great partner with us. Chase Bank has been huge in doing that. And then with our educational program, which is something that our sponsors and contributors really aspire to. We've gotten new sponsors who actually have joined with us just because of seeing that we actually have something that's not just happening on the festival weekend,
right,
but we're cultivating and developing the next generation of jazz greats.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just it's sort of the signature event of this whole big
Absolutely. And Gretchen Belaid, I mean, she is committed to ensuring that this continues year after year.
Right.
And so our key really is to continue to push the message of what we're doing, how we're doing it, the fact that we wanted to go on indefinitely and continue to bring on new partners who help us keep this alive.
Right, right. So if I'm a new visitor to the Jazz Festival, Sharon, tell me, where should I go? What should I see?
Well, let me just say that representing the Board of Trustees, it is such an honor and a thrill to work with so many people who are committed to ensuring that the message gets out on where to go and what to do and how to get engaged. Because we certainly have our corporate sponsors, we have our philanthropists that are doing just a wonderful job in making sure that we're able to keep it free. But we also have opportunities for people who want to join us as members, who want to become part of the Detroit Jazz Festival family, not just for Jazz Fest weekend, but all year round. There are so many programs that the Jazz Festival is committed to that we're making sure that gets out to the community at price points that allow them to be a part. Some of them are free, and so we encourage them to bring their children. We see grandparents bringing their grandchildren, and then the parents come along too. So that's the kind of thing we want people to know. You'll certainly on our website there's an opportunity, but stay tuned to what we do all year round, because that's what this juncture is all about: bringing people together, bringing the music together, making sure we have the entertainment and the educational and community all wrapped it up into a really nice venture for the community to participate in. Very important for us all.
Right. Chris, one of the things that I've always been struck by at this festival is, and you touched on this just a little earlier, the range of types of jazz that are available all in one space. That has got to be difficult to try to sort of put together each year.
Well, it's a welcome challenge. I came into this world as a musician, and that's probably how I'll go out. So I look at it as just an extension of how one might approach writing a composition or putting a new band together. It's about creating an environment that gives people a rich understanding of the depth and texture of jazz. And a good example of that in Detroit, a lot of great jazz festivals around the world, but in addition to being free, which is downright amazing, we're talking about a lot of special programming that I've cultured over the years with commissions and arrangers and special ensembles to send a message to the artists that the Detroit Jazz Festival is interested in producing those projects that maybe you didn't know there was a venue for, or maybe something you thought was a little too large to make happen. A great example of that will appeal to everybody is Friday night. We have a night at the Apollo on opening night. We're talking about a real feeling of revisiting the Apollo in the late 20s with Ted Lewis Levy and Margot B and Kevin Mahogany and David Berger and his New York band coming in. the great tap dance duo, the Wonder Twins out of New York. But it's all formatted in a way that the music will be of the highest artistic value, but it'll also celebrate that time when jazz was woven into the popular culture of America.
That's right.
And the intricacies, the integral connections between dance and jazz, between the vocal elements and the instrumental elements. So that kind of programming, the 2 Miles from Wayne show, which is Wallace Roney playing with his quartet with a Detroit-based brass and woodwind ensemble orchestra, playing pieces that have been lost, that Wayne Shorter wrote as a gift to Miles Davis many years ago, and no one's ever heard this music. And so those are the moments that you're going to embrace. You're going to realize these are things that, while there are jazz festivals everywhere, we have programming that's not only free, you couldn't see them anywhere at any price.
Right.
And that's special.
Right, right. And you're bringing them all into this small space. I mean, it is not a big place that you have to walk forever in. I mean, you can get from one stage to another pretty quickly.
You really can, and it makes the city, the skyline, the architecture, the backdrop of all these performances, and that's something that should attract everyone to celebrate how beautiful our city is and how welcoming it is to families and to people from all over the world, and the fact that they all come due to jazz music, Americans' contribution to the world.
American form of music, right?
Yes, it's beautiful.
You know, my son's name is Oscar, and that's not by accident. Oscar Peterson was a real influence there. But you know, we don't hear jazz as much on the radio anymore, but it's still a big part of our lives. We'll continue our conversation about the Detroit Jazz Festival a little later, but coming up next, a group of local musicians will perform right here in our studio. That's right after this look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African-American life in Detroit. This week in 1966, Marvin Gaye and Kim Weston's Take Two album was released on the Motown Records label. In 1970, War, recorded by Edwin Starr, was the nation's top song. And in 1983, Mayor Coleman A. Young issued Executive Order 22. The directive was designed to increase local and minority participation in construction and contracting projects. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
Now, we have a very special treat for you. A group of well-known local artists is here to give us a sample of what you can expect to hear at the Detroit Jazz Festival. Please welcome the Ursula Walker Budson Quartet, featuring Ralph Armstrong, Sean Dobbins, and Chris Collins.
I love the looks of you, the lure of you, and the sweet of you, the pure of you, the eyes and nose and the mouth of you. I love the east, west, north, and the south of you. I'd love to gain complete control of you and handle even the heart and soul of you. So love at least so small person who me do, for I love all of you. and the sweet of you and the pure of you, the eyes and nose and the mouth of you. I love the east, west, north, and the south of you. I'd love to get complete control of you, handle even the heart and soul of you. So love at least a small percentage too, for I love all of you.
I'm not sure Nancy Wilson has anything on Ursula Walker. We'll be right back to talk more about the Detroit Jazz Festival and the impact it has on the city throughout the year. Stay right there. So the Detroit Jazz Festival is a major tourist attraction for the city, but the festival is much more than just one weekend's event. Its influence on arts and culture can be felt throughout the year. We're back with Cornell Batie, Sharon Banks, and Chris Collins. Chris, how does the Jazz Festival's mission impact the city all year long?
Well, you know, I'll let Cornell and Sharon speak to it too, because they have such close connections in diverse organizations throughout the city. But I will say that, you know, from a programming point of view, our focus includes educational activities throughout the year that impact the Detroit Public Schools, high school students throughout the region, colleges and university students. Our artist in residence program works with all those levels along the way. And then we have a number of national competitions where we search for those artists up to 35 years old that are in the heart of their career that maybe we don't see in the national pipeline. We bring them in not only to play at the festival, but to play throughout the year at the club. So Detroit gets a sense of these wonderful artists, and they have a chance to interact with our Detroit artist base, creating a real sense of community and togetherness.
Right, right. I get the sense that for the organizers and for the trustees in particular, this is the point. It's that it goes far beyond Labor Day. Right?
Absolutely, and we really do consider ourselves ambassadors, cheerleaders for the Jazz Festival all year round, because it's our responsibility to make sure that the community at large, to make sure the business leaders, those in civic and philanthropic and faith-based organizations, media organizations, we're out there all the time as to why it's important that the work that's being done and what's being put together behind the scenes to bring this festival as a year-round opportunity is so important. So the Board of Trustees is always delighted to be center stage to help share that message and to be out in front to make that happen.
Right. And that education component is one of the things I think that you can take real hard in.
Absolutely. We'll partner up with 6 schools, with Cass Tech, Renaissance, Keene, Duke Ellington, Bates, and Detroit School of Arts. And out of that, we've actually have formed a Detroit All-Star Band, which gives the high school students an opportunity to actually perform. And we have, the last couple of years, and we'll continue to do so, I've actually taken students up to Mackinac. So I've had an opportunity to play on a big stage, to be presented and show what Detroit is and about.
Right. Right, and you know, if anyone has never seen or heard these kids play, you're blown away by the talent level and the dedication.
And that really is a testament to what Chris continues to do in building on the mission and the goal and the objective of why we do this. Because making sure that that next generation of young people and the opportunity to see themselves on that stage, and many of them actually performing on those stages, there's nothing that hits home.
You can't replace that, right?
Cannot replace it.
Right, and that's important. I mean, passing along the idea that jazz is important, is American, and needs to have a life in the future. I mean, you don't get that from the radio. You don't get that as much from pop culture right now.
No, but in fact, it's woven into the jazz artistic culture. The mentor-disciple relationship is how this music is passed. It's very important, and we actually have a mentor-disciple series at the festival that people can follow those relationships at every level. But I do want to say, too, there's a reason why this is so important in the city of Detroit. You know, the city of Detroit has an interesting collection of cultural elements that allow jazz and creative art in general to flourish.
Yes.
And so we have we still continue to propagate these amazing young artists, vocal and instrumental, that because of the intensity of the church and gospel music, R&B and blues, the fact that a lot of parents and grandparents in Detroit still listen to John Coltrane on their record players,
Right.
that weaves itself into the DNA of youth. And so in addition to having, you know, great educational output, the Detroit Jazz Festival is fortunate to be in one of the cities that can boast an intense relationship with jazz, and one where it is part of our, really part of our genetic makeup.
Right, right. We were talking a little during the break about the fact that, Chris, you're the artistic director, and you are also a musician. I mean, as I said, you were sitting in with the Ursula Walker Budson Quartet. That's important, that it's a musician who's sort of at the center of all of this, and the other musicians respond to that, right?
Well, they do, and you know, frankly, jazz is a little different than you know, pop music forms. Jazz is an art form,
Right.
And you know, you have to have respect and understanding for it. Even as a listener, you know yourself, the more you understand the goals of the musicians, the goals of the music, the legend and history of the music, the more you appreciate the art form, like painting or dance or anything else. So to have that as a guiding force from inside, the cats respond to it, the audience gets a taste of a lot of programming that really, it takes musicians to organize, because you're talking about commissioning works, writing original music for various ensembles, and knowing the history of this music. I grew up as a youngster in Detroit being thrilled that I came from a city where, you know, Donald Byrd and Joe Henderson and Sonny Stitt and Sonny Red and Barry Harris, these were superheroes.
Sure.
And when I found out I was from that same city, I was inspired. So those are the kind of things a musician feeds off, to pass this on to youth, to inspire the audience, and to create programming that's going to, in education and at the festival, that's going to inspire everybody to understand that you live here, you're part of
You're
this.
part of all of this, sure, yeah, yeah. What do you guys hear from the young people who are involved in this about the opportunity, about the city, about the festival? I mean, I can't imagine being that age and being part of this.
Well, I think one of the things is, you know, as they learn, as Chris said, about the history of jazz and the fact that, you know, Detroit is where jazz was really developed, and Detroit is where the greatest jazz artists come from.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look in New York at our top tier, those artists are from Detroit. You know, Ron Carter,
Sure.
you know, Jerry Allen. So to know that they have that type of tradition, I mean, it's something. I mean, your ambassador of the world, Marcus Belgrade.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Detroiter.
You're right. I mean, Wynton Marsalis says that if you want to hear the greatest horn player in the world, you got to go to Detroit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I would also say that the work that Chris does, and behind the scenes that Cornell and the entire team that get this done every year, making sure that the youth component is ever present in all that's done. And they're out in the community, they're talking to the young people, they're encouraging, they're teaching, they're also having people now at their doorstep wanting to be involved more and more, because the word is out.
Right.
This is where you want to be, this is where you get the next level of training and opportunity. And so the young people respond so very positively.
Sure.
And they're always clamoring to see, where can I get in to fit in to be a part of this? And that's a testament to the commitment of the entire Jazz Festival family.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to see Regina, I have to say, perform Labor Day weekend. I feel like, you know, lately especially, she has just sort of taken such a broad view of the music, and sort of sewn lots of different pieces of fabric of music together to make jazz. How did you guys settle on her as the...
Well, you know, when I keep close track of all the cats from Detroit,
Yeah.
you know, and they're really important to us. And Regina and I grew up in town together. We knew each other many years ago. And this new music she's doing, Southern Comfort, is a great example of finding yourself a little bit as an
Absolutely.
artist, and bringing fiddle music and stuff that's relevant to her instrument. And, you know, it's worth mentioning one other artist, the great Frida Payne is with us this year.
Right.
And it ties into the youth thing in a special way. Frida's doing a jazz set, and I mean it's a jazz set, with the Airman Note Big Band. Bill Cunliffe arranged it,
Oh, wow.
real beautiful swing and stuff. Frida has agreed to present the winner of our Youth Detroit Divas competition, a youth vocalist, all 18 and under. And not only is she going to present her, but this young lady will be singing with the Airmen of Note Big Band on Frida's set.
Oh, wow.
So even the artists have embraced the importance of the mentor-disciple relationship.
Right. Oh, that's great. Well, it's always great to have you guys here. I can't wait to get downtown. I live downtown, so I just go walk around the corner to the festival. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Plus, you can now hear episodes of American Black Journal on the radio. Tune into WDET 1019 FM on Fridays at 9:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. We'll see you next time.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.